XRP to $10,000. Ripple to burn all their escrow. There's a big ass wasp right there. That is insane. I just received an email and I want to talk about this because I think it's rather interesting. At the same time, guys, I still believe everybody should stop worrying a little bit too much about things that don't concern you too much. What I mean with that is Ripple's got all that escrow. Ripple's got so much XRP. Well, who cares? If they're making the price do well, doesn't matter how much they got. Anyway, I received an email though, and I want to talk about this because I do believe in two different camps when it comes to XRP. I believe on the one end, we don't really need Ripple to own so much. On the other, I believe that them having it is the best course of action. And then if you ever want to get to $10,000 and whatever, so many things need to happen in unison where on the one hand, it doesn't make sense for Ripple to have so much of it because the value would just be too insane. On the opposite end, for it to happen, you need some pretty big things, some pretty big miracles. And perhaps if nobody's incentivized enough, who will make it happen? All right, this is a shout out, but I don't know if you want your name out there, so I'm not going to say it. But I did appreciate your email. Everybody sending me emails, I always appreciate it. I always read every single one of them. I don't, but most of them I do actually. Take a look at this. Don't believe the nonsense that XRP is locked up in escrow. Ripple is the one manipulating the price down to help their banker buddies get in at a lower price. This is how they pay back the retail investors. Do you remember retail? Those are the ones who paid the $200 million attorney bill. Or do you think Brad and Chris had $200 million laying around? Well, first of all, they did. But that's besides the point. If all these XRP pump channels would start talking about this manipulation by Ripple, this would stop. Just ask anyone who's been trading silver for a long time. Silver is the most manipulated asset on the planet. You can overlay silver charts on XRP charts, and they match almost perfectly. Manipulation. Pure and simple, and it needs to stop. Are you with us? Start talking about it and investigate it. So let's break this down. His thoughts are that XRP that Ripple owns is not locked up in escrow, and the Ripple is manipulating the price down so that their banker buddies can buy in, because he says right here, this is how they pay back the retail investors. Do you remember retail? The ones that paid for the $200 million attorney bill. Let's put things into perspective. First of all, I'm a little bit sweaty perhaps. Every single crypto foundation at some point held a lot of the supply. And a lot might differ, but at least a good chunk percentage-wise. And the reason they've got that for the most part, some that did not do a pre-sale might have a little bit less, but they might have had a pre-mine. Do that because they use it for the ecosystem. Let's say we have a new project, right? It starts at the base and it starts from absolute zero. How do you generate value? Well, mostly there's some party that has to step in and create value for it. Otherwise, it's just another crypto. Ooh, big ass wasp. Hopefully you guys see it on camera just now. It's the ones I see in freaking Japanese videos, you know? In my little Netherlands, you never had these big ass wasps. In Dubai, you don't have these big ass wasps, or at least I've not seen them. And if you hear wind, hey, I'm outside. Deal with it. So, and make sure you press that like button right away. This is a lot of effort to set this up outside. It's very hot, but I thought I got you guys for a little more funny of a video. So when it comes to XRP, the foundation mostly, in this case here, it's Ripple that I consider to be foundation, even though officially you have the XP Ledger Foundation. But they needed XRP for the most part to build this ecosystem, to build some stuff up. Why? Well, otherwise, who would do it? At the start, it's basically an investment from people without any return. Even Bitcoin, in theory, right? Satoshi had 1 million Bitcoin. Now, you might say he didn't sell any, but that's still 5% at least of the entire supply, if not more. And in theory, he could have had more and just sold it to other people. But the principle stands that at some point, you're going to have a lot of it to build something for it. If it's all left in the abyss, in the void, people are just going to snatch it up at too cheap a price, and perhaps you might not build a good ecosystem. Point being there, the XRP founders decided to gift Ripple a lot of it, because otherwise, what do you do with the XRP? You might say, well, leave it for it to be mined. There's no mining in XRP, so leave it for people to buy. Buy from who? Buy from where? To create this ecosystem, you want many different parties to have this XRP, and perhaps the best course of action, that's at least what Ripple thought, is for them to have it, sell it to the major institutions that want to have it or want to work with it, and then use that profit to fund the ecosystem and fund more of the adoption and adaptation, which is an interesting philosophy. on an opposite end, people say, well, you know what? Ripple should just discard it all, let the community figure it out, which I appreciate, but the question still stands. Who is going to put in the money to get this to all these different places? Because now all of a sudden, the price might double. You've made money from this burn. Will you put that money towards getting XRP better adoption? Will you do it? If the answer is no, then who should? Who should be incentivized to do that? And since that question is very hard to answer, usually foundations are not that bad because they basically take a little bit of the buying pressure. They take a little bit off, right? So they sell the token, but they do it with good intention. And there comes the caveat. It's debatable as to what is good intention, which is why DAO structures have come into place, which is why validators have come into place with these systems to decide where the money goes. And with Ripple, even though it's transparent, it's not fully up to us to decide. Perhaps on smaller projects, but again, the Ripple legal bill, for example, they paid that with XRP. A question should be asked, though, which XRP exactly? Because they own 6 billion XRP, I believe, themselves, and then about 42 or whatever billion in escrow. So a little bit less than half the entire supply, I believe, or perhaps a little bit more than half the supply. I don't remember exactly. But that question comes, which is their rightful own, and which ones should they not touch then, following that philosophy? But again, to bring back the point of the video, or I should say the point of this remark here, he's saying they're keeping it low for the banking buddies. Well, at the end of the day, though, this theory does suggest that banks want to get in cheap to then appreciate the cheap investment so that the price can increase. And most likely they would want to get in cheap because they want to use it as well, and so they want to do it before the masses know. Regardless of how manipulated the asset is that a bad thing if the inevitable direction is upwards? I mean, same thing for Bitcoin, we talked about it a lot. Things like BlackRock, right? The guys like BlackRock and whatever trying to get in. If you told me this a couple years ago, I would have told you, man, that is insane. That is crazy bullish. I must buy more. But right now, as it's happening, nobody's really buying more. I think they are, though, but there's a lot of selling pressure externally done to keep the price at this low point. But I don't think it's a bad thing because I actually appreciate prices being low, and I do understand the philosophy behind. I'm not sure. The wind's coming from there. I'll try to keep the microphone like this. I do understand the investing philosophy of I'm just trying to watch out for these mega wasps. If I get stung on video, it would be pretty interesting. On the opposite side, I think a hospital is pretty far away. Or maybe I don't need a hospital, actually. I've never been stung by a freaking gigantonomicus bee or wasp, hornet, killer hornet. It's insane. It's a little human being with wings. Man, maybe you guys have it in your country too, or in America, or whatever the frick. I've never seen it though. So to me, it's a little bit interesting. How big would your bump be if they stung you, right? Yeah, hopefully you guys get my point though. I'm starting to get astray from my point, which is who exactly pays what bill? Is manipulation bad? And that's the majority of this little investigation that it could have done. The question that always arises is, do you support Ripple having all this XRP? And I say, well, who would be better off with it? Would it be better off to be burned? Because then the price doubles, and then who's going to take care of things? Would that be better? Perhaps for a decentralization perspective, now people would make a distinction better between Ripple and XRP because they would no longer think Ripple has so much of it. So that argument of it's centralized, thrown out the window. So that's good. Then again, somebody has to take over with doing these things that might cost money. And I think still, regardless of what you think, the only problem now is that Ripple has too much XRP potentially to want the price to increase. Because in theory, they could always just sell XRP at this price and make tons of money. But on the opposite side, if XRP went significantly higher, they'd also have to sell less so they'd keep more for the longer term, etc., etc. So in every regard, even for liquidity purposes, it makes more sense the higher the XP price is for Ripple. So that still should be one of their main objectives. Regardless of how much they got, they probably won't sell that much because it's in their best interest not to do so. Oh, so that's an interesting philosophy. It's just a double-edged sword, guys, and I think a lot of you guys will agree with me. I want you to comment down below what you think about the situation. Do you think it's better if Ripple sold everything? Do you think it's better if Ripple just basically destroyed it all? Or if they just do it the way they're doing it right now? What I mean with selling it is that they crash the price, but that's basically like a redistribution of the XRP. Like they could have done, years ago, but they decided not to do because perhaps the wrong institutions could buy in or have too much of a share. And right now, in theory, Ripple could still give it away, but then the institutions would have too much for too cheap a cost, and so they are not really too much incentivized. You want people to actually buy in to have some skin in the game. Otherwise, it's too easy. Yeah, that's, I'd say, my philosophy about the situation. I don't mind this too much, though. At the end of the day, I think the gains can still come regardless of how much XRP they've got. But I cannot deny you guys' remarks of saying there's some crazy manipulation going on. And the more XRP they got, the more they can manipulate. I can't deny that. On the opposite side, we can also admit that from Ripple directly, their sales are less than 1% of the daily volume. So that's not the determining factor in keeping the price low. But it could be these negotiations made, or how do you say it, like afspraken. I don't know the English word in a second just now. Commitments, appointments. Hey, there we go. Is these deals made or appointments made to keep the price at a certain level, or they just discuss it with market makers like we've seen before with Ethereum, how the whole ETH thing, a lot of you guys said Ethereum people are switching over to XRP because of the corruption expose. I think a lot of that could also, that Ethereum is exposed for, could be going on with XRP in the background as well. Again, probably every crypto's got this. Probably every cryptocurrency company or foundation behind the crypto has thought of how to keep a price at a certain level. I can't think of a single cryptocurrency founder or project that does not want to keep their price above or below a certain threshold for a certain purpose. It just makes sense. The only question is how do you get it done, and how do you get it done legitimately? It's hard because usually you have to work with certain market makers that will facilitate this. In theory, every market maker could, but they're just going to word it differently, but that's a story for a different day. The question is that bad? Do we want Ripple to stop manipulating price? Would that be more beneficial to us? These are questions I always have, and I'm not going to get the answer to because we don't know the extent that Ripple manipulates things for. To which my answer is, if you think XRP to $10,000 is never going to happen if Ripple owns so much, I always question that. If you say Ripple would be better off burning everything, I always question that because I don't know what the better part would be, except for us calling it differently now, because Ripple is now not a majority holder anymore, so that could be nice. Then again, they've been it since the start, and it hasn't really hurt the project, I'd say. I'd say perhaps it might have even aided knowing that there's a company with the best interest of XRP having such a huge part of it while not being able to vote for the majority part. Because if people want it, it would be gone. Right? If the community really came together and said this should be gone, it's gone. You can either fork, so you can take XRP's technology and make your... Oh, that was a little leaf. I was like, that's not going to happen, right? A wasp down my pants? Nah, I appreciate a lot of things, but that's something I cannot... Damn. That is something I cannot appreciate. Would it be better if they held so much? If they didn't hold so much? Good questions. Really, really good questions. And I don't have the answer for you. I've got more questions. Whenever we ask that question, I've got more questions. Because you just don't know. So the best course of action, in my opinion, is stop worrying about this type of stuff. Stop thinking about this stuff. See what the community or people that know more decide with regards to either voting or splitting. Because I'm assuming a lot of you guys are not going to fork or going to be for the fork in the sense that you're going to actually vote or do something in that regard. So just accept whatever people have chosen. I know that sounds like a little bit, like a little... just to accept it. But honestly, that's the best course of action because we know too little. We've got too little information about how the price is manipulated or how it works. So my best course of action is just understand the price movement that most likely will happen. I'd say, again, like I always say, $25 in the next 2 years is pretty logical because in 2017, 2018, XP went to $3, $4. Bitcoin was at 20. 2021, Bitcoin went about 3.5x. I believe XRP should have also done that to about $10. And then this run again, I think Bitcoin will at least double. So that should also be for XRP, about $20, $25, something like that. Should be a logical price point to go to. And that I'm holding to the ground still. I still think that that's most likely going to happen. Regardless of what happens with this burn, regardless of what happens with Ripple's escrow. And escrow, I think, would just cause a quick pump like with Stellar XLM. And that would be about it. I'm not sure the gains would last, which is what I'm afraid of, because then we're on our own, and I'm not sure if we on our own will do better than Ripple with this XRP. But yeah, make sure you go ahead and press the like button if you enjoyed the guys. I know these are a little bit more like thinky videos, not as much straight to the point, but that's because I'm outside. And because I sometimes want to enjoy life and ask questions rather than just tell you guys a story. Just let's talk about these things together because, of course, at the end of the day, it's our investment. We hope to do well. And so if you guys have better answers than I do, please share them. Or if you guys have thoughts on them, please share them, because that's sometimes how you get to the best result. But yeah, that's about it.